Hello there and welcome. I'm Peggy, and I'm so glad you joined us today. And I think you and I have a chance maybe to learn something we need that will help us, because we're going to talk about taxes, okay? So stay with us, because what my guest has to say will help us. Don Weaver is here. Now, he is president of the South Carolina Association of Taxpayers. And maybe that's an association a lot of us would wish it didn't belong to.
Well, we like to say we're for low taxes, not high taxes. So,
But I have to quote my father, I do. But he was an old Kentucky gentleman, and he used to always say, well, if they put a tax on, they'll never find a way to take it off.
That's right.
And once a tax gets in there, it's there forever, it seems like.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I always like to tell the story when they put the U.S. income tax on. It was to help fund World War I. That was in 1914. So here we are.
That's why we didn't have income tax until 1914.
Until 1914, we never had it. So here we are 103 years later. We've long paid for World War I, but we still have an income tax.
We've had a few wars in between.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, and so we're still paying that tax that was supposed to have been eliminated.
Eliminated a long time ago. That's right.
Well, what kinds of things do you want to bring to help people now?
Well, one of the things your viewers probably have seen in the news, that the gas tax in South Carolina is being debated right now. Governor Haley, of course, has left and gone on to be UN ambassador, but she proposed last year a 10-cent a gallon increase with some income tax relief. Well, it never passed. She threatened to veto it. The bill has come back in the South Carolina House now. It did pass the House, and now it goes to the Senate. And basically, it would be 2 cents a gallon increase over 5 years for a total of 10 cents. So right now, we're opposing it because it doesn't have any income tax relief with it, whereas Governor Haley's plan did. So, it's one of those things that the gas tax right now, the proponents say, is not producing enough revenue to help fix our roads. So they're saying the gas tax has to go up.
Well, you know what people want to know, and that's a legitimate thing. We need good roads and safe roads.
Right.
Nobody's going to question
That's
that.
right.
But people want to know if they have a gas tax to help fix these roads, will the money be used for that?
Right.
Or will it be filtered off someplace else? This is what upsets people.
Well, exactly, and that's one of the reasons our organization has been against it, because there was a lot of criticism a few years ago for the infrastructure bank, the state infrastructure bank. Well, that's when the Speaker of the House was from Charleston, if you remember, Bobby Harrell. The leader in the Senate was from Charleston, Glenn McConnell, a good man, but they were both from Charleston. And a lot of the state tax dollars went to Charleston, went down to the islands and widened I-26 down there. And anything the Low Country wanted seemed to get funded because the leaders in both chambers were from the Low Country. And whereas the upstate got shafted and the Myrtle Beach PD region got shafted. So they did pass some reforms on that. But that's, I think, what a lot of people are concerned about. Is it going to be another pork barrel spending? Is my share of my side of the state going to get a fair share of the revenues?
So right now that's one of the big things.
That's one of the big things on taxes right now. Yes, ma'am.
And the other thing is this pension reform.
That is very important. South Carolina is ranked 43rd in the nation for having unfunded pension liability. So we're not the worst.
Wait a minute, back up. What does that mean? Unfunded pension?
Well, what that means is if you took all the state retirees that work for state government and you factored in all what's expected for the state to pay during their lifetime, we are unfunded by about $20 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars. It's not a small amount of money.
That high.
That's about 3 of the state's annual budgets. That's how much we're underfunded in pension liability. So something has got to be done about that. We've known about it for a number of years, and the General Assembly just took their first step in funding some pension relief, which will be a good thing in the long run. It'll be a little painful for current state employees because their contribution is going to go up to the pension.
Yeah, I mean, it always seems like everything goes up, nothing ever, they make these promises.
That's right.
But then it never materializes.
Well, one thing that's hurt all the pension funds across the country actually, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, interest rates have been low for so long that a lot of these pension funds would assume, say, a 4 or 5% a year return based on their investments. Well, of course, as we all know, interest rates have been low for a long time, which is good if you're borrowing,
Yeah.
but not so good if you're saving. And on the saving end, the pension funds weren't getting the return on their money. So they haven't been able to produce the returns which they need to pay out these promises to state retirees. So the General Assembly in South Carolina looked at that, they know there's a problem, and they just took the first step towards solving that problem.
And of course, inflation creeps
That's right.
in.
That's right.
And people who save for retirement,
Right.
then when they retire, they find out we thought we had enough money to live on, and they don't.
Exactly right. Even if you have just a small amount of inflation a year, which we haven't had much lately, but it's starting to go back up now. But if you have 2% inflation a year, over 5 years, you've lost 10% of your spending power.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that $100 you get a month is now only worth 90. That's how much you lose. That's how fast inflation creeps away and at your pension over time. So the General Assembly is aware of that. They passed the first reform package, which will increase current state employees. They have to go up in their contribution from their paychecks. They did preserve the cost of living increase in current state employees of 1% a year. So that was what they call a COLA, like you get on Social Security. So they're going to continue to have that. And that was a big, important point for the State Employee Retirement Association. They really wanted to keep that cost of living increase in there.
Well, what can, not necessarily state employees, but all of us, what can we do to be smart about our, we don't want to cheat. You don't want to say to people, oh, you can get away with this.
Right.
No, but to abide by the rules, but still save yourself.
Well, one thing we encourage people is to communicate to your House members and your elected officials. Let's not overpromise what we're going to be able to pay state and retirees.
They all do that. Now, you know they do.
Because every time we raise the bar on what we're going to pay retirees, it ultimately costs the state money, and it takes away from education, it takes away from the roads, it takes away from, all the other things that state government does. So we want to give a fair pension plan, but the problem is some of these states have really overpromised really their retirees what they can afford to pay out. Illinois is the worst in the nation.
Really?
They've got the number one unfunded. Illinois, for all intents and purposes, is basically bankrupt, and their pension has done it to them. California's the same way. California has way overpromised. It's the largest pension fund in the country, California, and they have way overpromised their retirees. So, we want retirees that work for the state over a number of years to get a fair shake, but not so much that we're going to bankrupt the state in the process. So that's what our association says. Let's have a fair pension system, but one that's realistic as well.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about taxes. What about this cigarette tax?
The cigarette tax did go up about 4 years ago. It went from 17 cents a pack. We were the lowest in the country. It went to 54 cents a pack, so it tripled. And that was a good thing. Well, it did raise some revenue. The money went into the Medicaid. So that issue is kind of quiet for right now because it just went up a good bit. And that serves kind of a dual purpose. It raises money for health care, and frankly, it discourages smoking to some extent.
Well, that's the whole point.
Right. That's right.
I would like to see them raise the taxes so high that nobody can afford to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Well, the only problem with that is a lot of people would agree with you on that, but then you kind of create a black market atmosphere where you'll have people,
I'm sure.
shipping cigarettes from one state.
I'm being funny.
Oh, I know, but then you'll have people shipping cigarettes from one state to the next where the taxes are lower. We've already seen that going on in high-tax states like New York and some other ones. So.
But, I would love to see programs funded to help people stop smoking.
Absolutely.
And to get the word out, especially to young people, don't start.
Exactly. Well, and I think as our population has gotten more health conscious over the years, you really don't see smoking as much now. It's banned in so many places and restaurants and most public buildings. So you really don't see people smoking or even starting to smoke now like they used to, which is a good thing.
You bet it is, because
that
causes illness that is a burden then to the healthcare system.
Absolutely.
It all spills over.
That's right. Absolutely.
So,
that's right.
All right. Now, what else can you do with your expertise to help people? What do we need to know, and what about some of these exempt? If you're 85 years old, you get a 1%.
Yes, this is what we tell people. I talk to groups around the state, and in South Carolina, if you've reached the milestone 85 years old,
Yeah.
when you go to a retail store, make sure that you get your 1% sales tax reduction on your receipt. And the clerk, you may have to show your license to prove you're 85, but they are supposed to charge you 1% less. So
I
instead
bet a
of
lot of people don't even know that.
a lot of people don't. I mean, I'll ask for show of hands in a meeting room, and half the people don't even
Now,
know
is
it.
this for everything you purchase?
Everything except for prepared foods. If you're at Buy Low and you're checking out a fried chicken that's already been cooked, if cooked prepared foods, it does not apply to. I don't know why. That's some lobbyists got an exemption to that. But everything else, if you're at Lowe's, if you're at Walmart, Home Depot, wherever, all you have to do is show your license, and they should give you that 1% discount. And over the course of a year,
It adds up.
it adds up. Absolutely.
So I bet a lot of people either don't know it or don't bother to see that it's
That's right.
done.
Years ago, a lot of retailers had a little sticker at the cash register saying, if you're over 85, let us know. But a lot of them have
I
gotten
haven't
away from
noticed
that.
that.
Yeah. I mean, they used to have them, but now they've gotten away from that. But it's very much still the law, and the discount's there. All you need to do is ask for it.
So if you're 85 or over,
That's right.
it doesn't matter what you're buying.
That's
You
right.
buy a pair of shoes,
Pair of shoes, any kind of clothing item, something for your house, all qualifies for the discount.
all right, and it adds up.
Absolutely.
Because we need to be smart and not be unreasonable or try to do the wrong thing, but we need to be smart enough to protect our interests and get what is legitimately right for us to have,
Absolutely.
regardless of your age. We're
Right.
going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.